Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Thursday, February 24th already. This is the Senate Transportation Committee. And our first item this morning, I don't know a lot about the subject. The agency recommended it to deal with the Department of Corrections. So we have a number of folks here this morning with us. And who would be the best to lead off on telling us what this subject is all about?
If others wouldn't mind, I could give a brief history.
Good morning.
And then have others jump in.
Okay, good. Yeah, so we just understand what the subject is about. Be helpful. So if you help us out, we appreciate it.
Sure. So good morning, everybody. My name is Wayne Gamble. I'm the Division Director for District Maintenance and Fleet. We're here today to talk a little bit about how our agency, the Agency of Transportation and the Department of Corrections have been working together and would like to continue to work together and hopefully maybe even take it to the next level. We actually have a long history of working with the Department of Corrections, and we've done everything, working with them and their crews in the past for doing everything from mowing, picking litter, cutting trees and brush, many other things that helped us out in many areas. We would like to, of course, continue that if we can, although I'm hearing from the Department of Corrections that things are changing in the way they're doing things, and that's great. They'll have to explain that. I'm not sure about a lot of that, but that's some of the stuff we're working on. I do want to say, though, that we kind of like to take it to the next level in the sense of being able to actually hire people into temporary positions to get them ready for the possible permanent positions. We do have permanent positions out there also. I know there's some challenges around driver's licenses and things like that. However, DMV is working, I believe the Department of Corrections also, to help with credentialing and getting licenses, or if they've expired. But I know they're working on that. Some of the other things that we have done with them in the past, we worked up in Newport. Newport at one point had a transportation training program, and we worked with them on that. They did everything from training on safety, VOSHA safety, flagging, a bunch of the things that certifications and things that they would need if they were to come out and come into transportation. So those are some other things that we've done. We've also shared curriculum. Our training center has shared curriculum with Department of Corrections to help out. And again, hoping to continue all of this. And now our training center, the VTTC, is now a certified CDL training center. That's something that had to happen, I believe, starting February 7th, I believe was the date. I'm getting yeses. So we are now certified there. So we would also be able to help those that are eligible to possibly get their CDLs. And so that's kind of where we're at this moment. We just want to be able to see if there's anything more we can do to help them and us. We'd love to get more help and help others. So anyways, that's an
interesting program. We don't hear a lot about it. It's something that I know you work together, but I don't know a lot about it. It's good topic, because it could be a good transition for some of those folks that are coming out. They need some training, and it's an ideal situation. So this would be interesting to learn about it. So Wayne, any question for Wayne before we moved on to someone else? Okay, who would you like to turn over to, Wayne? Who's the next person?
I guess I would ask somebody from Corrections if they would like to jump in. And
Sure.
start. Sure.
Yeah, just identify yourself from Corrections and take it over.
All right. Well, I guess I'll start. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for having us. A committee we don't find ourselves in too often, but we're excited to be here. I'm Nick Demille. I'm the Commissioner of the Vermont Department of Corrections. Just wanted to say off the bat before handing it off to some of my colleagues that we really appreciate the partnership with AOT and are excited for some new opportunities that could be coming down the pike and things that I think can mutually benefit our population that's in our care and custody, but also serve a lot of the needs of AOT. So we're excited about that. We've got a couple of folks from the department with you today who can speak to more of the subject matter expertise. And so I'd like to save the time for them and hand it off to them. So I don't know, Matt or Kim, which one of you might want to take it, but I certainly pass it off to you guys to dive into the issues.
I'm happy to take it, Commissioner, if that works for you. Or Matt, if you want to go first, that's fine too.
No, please, Kim, go ahead.
Okay,
Thank
good
you.
morning and welcome to our committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. I'm Kim Bushy, for the record. I'm the Program Services Director with the Department of Corrections. And as our colleague from AOT, Wayne, represented, there's a very long history with the Agency of Transportation. And a lot of that history began and continued when the department had a larger incarcerated population and had particularly work crews and the work camp. We had more than one work camp actually at different points over the history. And so we had individuals who were classified as lower risk and who we were able to bring out consistently. Offenses like property offenses and multiple DUI, for example, were some of the populations. And we've since moved to supervising and incarcerating individuals of higher risk, which is a good thing because these folks can be supervised in the community, can live in the community, and it's less disruptive to their families and community lives. But it has had an impact in terms of our ability to partner with the Agency of Transportation in terms of the individuals that we actually have available. Secondly, I would say the efforts that we've made in terms of trying to protect the incarcerated population during this pandemic have made it challenging to provide services in a congregate setting, which means everything largely is being done individually and with the capacity to go remote if we need to go remote. So it has limited our ability and required that we prioritize how we're providing services and what services we're providing at this point. We have, however, had several conversations with the agency, Wayne in particular, and a couple of his other colleagues around our interest when we move into an endemic plan, our interest in being able to partner more with the Agency of Transportation to resume. What we used to do is have a Agency of Transportation, particularly flaggers, but not only flaggers, training that was, I think, averaged about 4 or 5 hours in terms of training, where we would do safety training, safety certifications, flagging certifications, and we would use some of the same, we would use the certification material and training material from the Agency of Transportation. My understanding from Wayne and his colleagues is that they've just recently received their CDL curriculum. And so that's another area where we've expressed interest in taking a look at our ability to deliver that curriculum to interested incarcerated individuals and to partner with the agency. In addition, we have a lot of effort going on through our AIRS grant, through the Adult Reentry and Employment Training Grant. And so we've been partnering with vocational rehabilitation and the Department of Labor in particular, along with a lot of training organizations like CCV. Vermont Tech are on the cross-disciplinary work group as well. And we're really partnering with them to do a couple of things. One is to really take a look at where the markets are going and what we might be able to stand up to support the population as they transition into good jobs and career paths, which obviously the Agency of Transportation has many excellent career paths that could benefit our population considerably, including the Association of General Contractors. So we've had a number of conversations with them as well. But we're also taking a look at processes where we can improve our reentry process to include trying to look at how we can identify potentially doing like a job fair internally inside the facilities so that interested individuals who are getting ready to transition can begin to know what kinds of employment opportunities exist in their communities, and that we can begin through our partnership with VR and begin to potentially even do low barrier hiring, that they can assist us with low barrier hiring, so that individuals could hopefully come out with a job in hand or very close to having a job in hand as they transition. I would say those are the primary things that we've been working on with AOT at this point. Matt, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add. But
how many folks do you think participate in work programs per year now out of the correctional facilities?
Well, currently I'll let Matt speak to our work crews and work camps, but
all right.
What my division does is training. So where we are able to deliver remote, particularly industry recognized trainings, we're doing that. But it's largely remote. But we do probably at this point, I would say we easily have 20 to 30 individuals who are actively engaged in an industry recognized credential training, and that's occurring even though we're remote and it's individual at this point. So,
any questions for Kim before we turn it over?
I'm awesome.
Sure, go right ahead, Senator Ingles.
I don't know of any job that you could get out of prison and walk into and make $50,000 to $80,000 like what you could do with a CDL. And those just are real numbers as far as what you can make. I mean, I've got, I don't know how many people in that business that are just begging for drivers, just begging and begging and begging. So I would, it's not just a job. I mean, I suppose that it's, any job is how you look at it. You can be a career, but this truly is a career that you could step right into with just the efforts of becoming and getting your CDL and going on. And I think that recidivism is increased when you're dumped back into the areas of where you had your bad behavior. And something with a CDL really does change the landscape of where you're at. I mean, you're on the road, you're traveling, you're doing a lot of different things. So I would not only support but encourage this program to continue, and I think it's a good one.
Nationwide, there's 80,000 shortage of truck drivers or trailer drivers, 80,000 short right now, and they're paying close to $100,000 a year for some of these folks. So it is a good career, and you're right. It would be a great help to the workforce. And Senator Kitchell, you had a question?
Well, we're focusing on CDLs. Are there certain occupations where the criminal record is going to create difficulties, and therefore, and I don't know if CDL would be one of those, but I just want to raise that as an issue in terms of what occupations are being selected, so that we are making sure that there is a job and that their criminal record wouldn't preclude their entering that realm of employment. We did hear from Associated General Contractors about their need for help, and the website they have that really is very helpful in directing people. And Senator Ingles is right. The evidence is really sound. If there's one predictor of success after release, it's a job and stable housing. So and it's hard to have stable housing without a job. So the more, and I know that our Judiciary Committee spent a lot of time on that whole transition planning and how to reduce the recidivism rate. And our justice reinvestment whole approach has been directed toward that goal. So I was just wondering if there are certain occupational areas that are sort of, unfortunately, until you can get your record cleared, would be problematic.
That's an excellent point, Senator. CDLs may be quite challenging for some members of our population for a number of reasons. So some of it may be their criminal record, some of it may be their former driving history,
Okay.
and outstanding fines and perhaps suspensions, etc. But also, in addition, close to 50% of our incarcerated population is on medication-assisted treatment. And that may be a barrier as well in terms of operating some of the heavy equipment and the larger CDL. So I do think that it means that we need to, and those are, if I remember correctly, Wayne, those are federal regulations. So those are not things that we in Vermont have a lot of control over at this point. That being said, I think that one of the things that I'm very excited about, and I think our partners at AOT are excited about, is the breadth of opportunities that there are in the Agency of Transportation. So while CDLs are certainly, desirable and achievable for some of our population, there are a lot of other types of work that are equally as desirable and achievable, and probably a good entry point for many of them, even if they're not ready.
Construction workers. Yeah. Construction is
Right.
begging. Yeah.
Construction, the working on bridges, welding, mechanical. I'm trying to remember all of them, Wayne. I'm doing the best I can with the number that you came up with. But there's a landscaping, the mowing. So there's a wide variety of types of employment that can lead to a very good, strong career path. And I believe Senator Kitchell and Senator Ingles, you both referenced how important it is. Our population, it often is working. They're able to find work. What they're not able to do as well is to find a career path. And so they become discouraged, they don't see the ability to make a livable wage. And oftentimes, and so they don't know how to move it forward. And I think this kind of relationship is an opportunity that we might be able to really help them see how these different positions lead to the kinds of opportunities that they might be particularly interested in and never have considered before, may have seemed too beyond their ability or capability. So I do think that there's a lot of opportunity in our partnership with AOT.
Kim, how do you go about it in the facility? They sign up for different jobs, or you select them, or how does that work to find folks that are interested in? Is there some place they can fill out a form that they're interested in, or do you seek them out, see what their history is?
My colleague Matt might actually be a better responder to how facility employment occurs.
Okay. Sure.
So facility employment, I mean, it's really something that it's in the release planning piece, right? It starts with those conversations, generally with the caseworker, or it could be that the person has something lined up or doesn't have something lined up, and they do once they get out. A lot of that takes place once they are released into the community. I think what we're looking at right now, if I can just talk a little strategy here with this, just things that have been thought about as we progress through this. The first piece of this is going to be kind of casting the net, making people aware, those individuals aware that are in the facilities, that all these jobs are out there and that they could potentially qualify for them. And then it's a matter of working with those individuals to make sure that, one, we get them to the point where they do qualify. And that could be through programming inside, that could be through maybe getting their GED, that may be through a lot of different areas. And then working with them up until the point of release, injecting that into their release planning so that when they do get out, they hit the ground running and there's no delay. As you know, once a person gets out and there's a delay with medical or a delay with getting a job, you've got that idle time, and it's a time where it's a dangerous time for those individuals. So if we could cut that business out and just have it so that when they are released, they hit the ground running, that would be the ultimate plan. The first piece of that, though, is we need to start really advertising. And there are ways that we can do that in the facilities via the GTL tablets. I don't know if you folks are familiar with the GTL tablets, basically like an iPad. Most of our incarcerated population have them. We have a system that it's all monitored, but they can receive and send emails to family members, and they get announcements over these tablets. So that's some way that we can target the individuals and kind of let them know that this resource is out there and that there's opportunities out there for them. I think Kim really laid out, a lot of what we're doing now, but this is kind of strategy of how to go forward with this to make sure that we are hitting everybody and targeting the right people. And out of that, we talk about the CDL stuff. I'm sure there are probably not many, but I'm sure there are people in there that could benefit from that. And we need to capitalize on it. So any questions with that, or?
Any questions, Benny? Just speak up because I can't see everyone on the screen. Go right ahead. Okay, who's next? Who would like to?
And I would like, I asked Lori Valburn to come because Lori, I'm sure you all know Lori, but Lori does lots of different things, and she's definitely helped here also. So
Okay.
I'd ask Lori.
All right, sure.
Well, good morning, folks.
Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and
Thank
thank you to all of you for welcoming me back.
Thanks for coming.
It wasn't too long ago. I was in, I believe, last week talking about some of our transportation workforce development activities.
Yeah.
So this partnership that's been well covered this morning by Wayne and Kim and everyone else is something that we're really hoping to build on. Right now, more than ever, we have a real pressing need, and we have some great jobs and career opportunities as everyone's spoken about. I think that Kim has really, and Matt have really focused on where there are some potential barriers. So it really requires a concerted effort and a good vetting process as we're moving people through that transition period and even before that. So my office has been working closely with corrections for many, many years. I believe it was back in 2001 when Vermont Works for Women started a program with the women that were then housed at the Dale facility in Waterbury. And we came in and provided some of the training for women who were still incarcerated to get trained in the trades. And we started promoting some of the opportunities that we had through our on-the-job training program, which is a paid training program with our contractors. And we were really surprised, but we were sometimes the first folks that were contacted when women were released because we did have job opportunities. We went into it with great enthusiasm, and we had some good success stories. But what we quickly discovered is that you have to go in eyes wide open because there are these additional barriers that Kim and Matt have spoken about, and particularly in the area of transportation and availability. So there are some folks that are still justice involved that have certain programming requirements, for example, and that's going to impact their availability for certain jobs that require that very long hours. That would include, for example, for us with plow drivers, it would include for folks that are potentially working on paving projects with a perishable commodity out there. And it doesn't lend itself sometimes when people that are still on probation or parole have to be checking in on a daily basis. So I think that this partnership is exciting and can move forward, particularly with this coordinated effort and really working closely with folks while they're still incarcerated to identify what is going to be viable. And I love the idea of doing an internal job fair because what we found in the past is that folks that are still incarcerated, learning about all of these opportunities really provides a whole different level of hope for them and something to aspire to and work towards. And we really want to be part of that. It can be a real win-win situation all around. So we're eager to help facilitate some of the training. Wayne has spoken about some of the curriculum that we've shared in the past and that we have a lot of opportunity right now to be continuing to partner with Department of Corrections. I'm happy to field any questions.
Yes, Senator Ingles.
I don't want to get in the weeds on this, and I want to keep it to the conversation of transportation. But are there programs to wean the people off of medications that could impact their lives? I mean, I don't care if it's whether it's you're going to become a truck driver or you're going to become of anything. You're going to take any jobs. If you're got a dependency on a chemical that requires you to seek treatment, it's going to preclude you from being involved in any workforce if it's not a handy, readily available appointment schedule. If you're on a construction crew based out of Newport and you have a job in New Hampshire, it isn't going to work if at 12 o'clock you've got to be in Montpelier to seek some kind of treatment. It's just not going to work. That person's unemployable. So do we find, do we work on those solutions to wean people off of those situations?
Sir, I think those situations are really, as you know, medication-assisted treatment is a medical intervention, and so, you know, what we do is help. What the department does, and some of my team's work is to help individuals to understand the choices that they're making, and maybe it's a good and the potential consequences thereof.
Well, let me ask it like this. Let me ask it like this, because this is really where I want to get to, I guess. Is if somebody's on methadone because of past problems with heroin, are they on methadone for the rest of their lives?
Some individuals are, and some individuals aren't. I mean, I know that's somewhat cryptic, but my experience is, and I guess maybe I should say this, my former life was an addictions therapist, so I have some expertise in this area. But generally speaking, there are individuals, you have about 30% of individuals who have a substance use disorder who are able to self-correct and or correct with very little intervention. And then you have about 30% of the individuals who need more significant intervention, but they are eventually able to correct and to, you know, go on and live a life that's not impacted by their substance use. But then you have about 25 to 30% of individuals who have a pretty chronic substance use disorder. And those individuals are usually the individuals who, in particular in the department, those are individuals whose lives are really impacted by their substance use. Usually it's more than one substance. The degree to which somebody can find much more stability and less negative impact from their substance abuse through the use of medication over time, what happens with those treatment interventions is that they become less onerous. People don't need to have daily dosing. They can have take homes. There are other strategies for long-term maintenance, but individuals need to be supported to get to the place where they can do that, and without a negative impact on themselves or other folks. And so I know that's a long-winded response to your question,
but final question on that. And do the places that offer doses, do they have extended hours, like from 7 to 9 at night, so that people can get up in the morning, go to work, come home, and then go to treatment after that? Or are they in a structure of 9 to 5 when somebody's going to be trying to go to work and to maintain a job?
I'm really not the expert in this area because there are multiple. If you're familiar with the alcohol and drug abuse ADAP, they've created what's called a hub and spoke model, and their hub models are for the more chronic individuals, and they provide more intensive services, and those are usually pretty regimented in their schedules. But the spokes, individual people can move from a hub to a spoke, and the spokes have much more flexibility in terms of their scheduling. So that's the short answer, but I think if you would like more detail, I would reach out to somebody from ADAP.
We have a center here in Newport. I'm going to reach out to them because I'm curious about it, but thank you.
Sure.
Questions? When we, I don't know who could answer this, we moved the women's facilities to Burlington, or South Burlington. One of the reasons was it would be better for local services. Are there any programs for the women that, like, for example, nursing and all these other trades that are looking for folks? How does that differ? They have the ability to have other opportunities to reach out, or is it easier for them in Chittenden County? Or just curious about how that works.
There have been, I think that if you talk to our partners at Vermont Works for Women, you would hear that there have been some silver linings and there have been some challenges.
Okay.
But some silver linings have been that it has promoted their reaching out to a larger variety of potential employers. They've created a strategy that I think is brilliant, actually, and sort of led to got embedded in our conversation with the Agency of Transportation, which is they created a strategy of enrichment nights where they would bring in various women who are employed in a variety of different fields and have them discuss how they got into those fields and what their trajectory was in terms of their career development. And that's really helped a number of women to have a better sense of the potential that's out there. In addition, it's allowed them to create, to have the opportunity to bring in more specified training in a particular area when they have a cohort of individuals, incarcerated individuals who are interested in a particular area for some specific training. And through the AIRS grant that I referenced earlier, we are piloting a culinary training program, culinary instruction, connected with our corrections education system and connected with facility employment. All of our facilities have kitchens that produce at least 3 meals a day for the entire population. And so we're starting to take a look at how do we capture the skills and augment the skills that are being taught and developed in any one of those 3 areas. And so I think that has the potential to be a model for other types of facility, both facility employment, but facility opportunities as we try to work out the bugs here. So
I've always wondered, when someone comes out of a facility, if they have no place to stay and they have no job, boy, the chances of getting back in some sort of trouble again is easy, because if you're out there, where are you going to live? And you got to, unless they got family to go to, chances are it opens the door for re-entry again. And I know it's a challenge for everybody. I'm not saying but I'm always interested in hearing there's some proposal or some help for those folks that get out, because I'm sure a lot of them want to get out and get on the right track, but the odds are against them, because if they have no place to live, they have no money, and they have no job, wow, easily get right back in again. So I'm pleased we're working with the agency, and Lisa, I would encourage anything we can do. Certainly would help everyone. I think we want to keep people out. Once they're out, keep them out, not go back in. Anybody else? Any other questions or comments?
I just think sometimes it's other people's schedules that keep them from being able to reach their goals. And I understand that people have to be accountable for themselves. And, but if there's a scheduling conflict to keep somebody well that is in the middle of the day, or they don't have extended hours, earlier or later hours, that sometimes it's gonna just keep on making excuses for that person not to get back into the workforce. And I think sometimes you just can pound your head against the wall thinking of solutions until you pick up the obvious ones and make changes so that there's no more excuses available.
Right.
Kim may know the answer to this, but it seems like the use of the prescribing of buprenorphine does address some of those scheduling. I know the methadone clinics and the daily dosing really did. People were getting up and being there at 6 a.m. and then going on to work. And it really was a hardship. And that was particularly true before we added more spokes. But could you just speak? I think Bupe is perhaps a little bit more amenable to work schedules, but I may remember that wrong.
I think your memory is accurate, Senator. Most of the clinics do have very early morning schedules. I would also, in response to Senator Ingles, just want to add something that some of our partners have identified, which is particularly vocational rehabilitation, but also VDOL have represented this, that largely if we can have a conversation with potential employers before and can begin to get a sense of, is there a way that we could, put some of these appointments in one place, or, at a time of day, that often employers are very amenable to working with the individual and with us in terms of trying to accommodate that, and so that the individual can. My understanding is they're really looking for someone that can be predictable, that they can work if they understand sort of where some of the sticky places might be, and there's some sense of compromise or collaboration to try to minimize that or mitigate that in some way. So I think that's a big piece of part of what we're trying to do more of as we start to build a process with vocational rehabilitation and with our other partners, so that there is a way of having these conversations earlier, so that individuals are not showing up for employment and the employer doesn't know what some of the challenges may be, and then after they're hired, then the individual is reporting, well, I can't do this or I can't do that, rather than if we could work together earlier, we might be able to mitigate quite a bit of that surprise on both sides. So,
Any other questions? Anyone else with us this morning that would like to comment on this subject? Very interesting subject. Everybody has covered everything. Wayne, anything else you want to add, or anybody?
Yeah, sure. I thank you, Senator. I just want to thank everybody from corrections. They've been awesome to work with. I love the ideas of, thinking out of the box, and, not always just boxing ourselves or putting ourselves in a corner. Everybody's thinking of ways to have this work and to help everybody involved. And I'm very excited and happy that we're working with them.
You don't need any legislation to do any different there. You're doing what you're doing now, right? I mean, you don't need anything. Okay, no, just checking in if there's something.
Not on my end, but.
Oh, that's all right. No, just always good to check, because we don't like a barrier in the way of something that's successful. Try to keep it going. Any committee members, any questions? I can't see everybody, but anything added? Senator Perchlik, Senator Chittenden, nothing? Okay. Well, I thank everybody for coming this morning. I appreciate it. And if you have any good news in the future, let us know. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Mazza.
Yes.
I'm,
Why don't we can go off now because we're going to be on break until 10:15.
If we just for a moment, I've asked AOT if their witnesses that are scheduled for 10:15 could
Oh.
start earlier because I saw you.
Yeah, why don't we do that? If we could start at 10, it'd be great.
Okay, they're going to sign in now, so it'll just be a moment.
Okay.
Muted. Are we just going to keep going or are we breaking till 10? That's what I'm not clear. Oh, Henry.
Senator Mazza, we,
Yeah.
Jane, did you hear Jane? I don't know if you heard her.
Yeah. She, Jeannie's checking right now.
Yes, they're going to be signing in very shortly. One of the witnesses has already joined us.
So we want to take a 10-minute break and we'll come back on at 10 o'clock. Is that correct?
Well, I've been told that they're going to be signing in now, but we can do whatever your pleasure is, of course.
Well, then we might as well just keep going. I just needed to clarify. Henry's not very happy this morning.
Jeannie, before we go off today, I got to talk to you about tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. If we're ready to go, you want to go on to the next one?
They're not here, so I don't know what to say.
Why don't we take at least a 5-minute break?
Yeah, let's take a 10-minute. Let's go back at 10 o'clock.
Okay.